Jesus revealed himself as the Good Shepherd. And if you love him, there's a shepherding job for you too. Jesus said, "Feed my sheep." Good morning and welcome to 755 Live. For about 5 minutes, you'll hear all about easy to remember soundbite versions of what Jesus said. And the point is to help you experience life to the fullest, the Jesus way. Today's Jesus Said comes from John 21, 15 through 16. And we'll be reading a few verses at a time and then go ahead and extend this through verse 19 to get the full story. So John 21, 15 in the New Living Translation. After breakfast, Jesus asked Simon, Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these?" "Yes, Lord," Peter replied. "You know that I love you." "Then feed my lambs," Jesus told him. Now, in English, we miss a little bit of the meaning here, actually, a lot of it. And so we're going to kind of read between the lines here. In English, the word love can mean several different things. But in the original Greek of the New Testament, there are several different words that are translated into English as love. And in this discussion with Peter, Jesus is using one word, and Peter is responding with another. Verse 15, Jesus says, "Do you love," or agape in Greek, "do you love me more than these?" Agape is the highest word for love. It's the God kind of love. And more than these, I think that Jesus was talking about the fish that they were eating, which was Peter's former occupation. Could also mean the other disciples, but I believe that Jesus was drawing a parallel to Peter's old life and the new life following Jesus. Now, Peter's response to the question, "Do you agape me more than this, more than these?" Peter said, "You know that I phileo," the Greek word for friend, which is translated love, but it's different than agape. It's a fondness kind of love. And there's also some interesting words here that are used for feed and sheep. The first challenge uses the word feed, which means to pasture or to graze my little lambs. Jesus is asking for the highest commitment of love, and Peter's responding, "Yes, I'm your buddy. I'm your friend." Let's go on to verse 16. Jesus repeated the question, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" "Yes, Lord," Peter said. "You know I love you. Then take care of my sheep." Well, same thing happens here again. The contrast in the words used for love. Jesus is saying, "Do you agape me?" And Peter is saying, "You know I'm your friend. You know I phileo you." And the word here for take care of my sheep, that means to care for, to lead. And this is different than the word that was used for lamb or baby sheep earlier. This is my sheep, my sheepfold. Okay? Now going on to verse 17. A third time he asked him, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Peter was hurt that Jesus asked the question a third time. And he said, "Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you." And Jesus then said, "Then feed my sheep," which he goes back to the word for feed, to pasture and graze, but doesn't use the word for lamb. Once again, my sheepfold. But Jesus changed the word for love here in verse 17, which we totally miss in English. He actually asked Peter, "Do you phileo me? Are you even my friend?" And Peter was hurt by that. He was sad. "You know that I love you. I phileo you." And Jesus then explains the sacrifice that Peter had ahead of him. He says, verse 18, "I tell you the truth. When you were young, you were able to do as you liked. You dressed yourself and went wherever you wanted to go. But when you are old, you will stretch out your hands and others will dress you and take you where you don't want to go." Well, now, doesn't that sound encouraging? It even gets better. Jesus, verse 19, Jesus said this to let him know by what kind of death he would glorify God. And then Jesus told him, "Follow me." Now, let's just take this in context. Jesus chose this loudmouth, hardworking fisherman to be the one who would preach on the day of Pentecost. And 3,000 people would follow Jesus in one day. And here he is telling Simon Peter how he would glorify God by his death. And then he repeats the question that Jesus asked Peter at the very beginning. Follow me. Do you really, really love me? Do you love me enough to give up everything? And we see that Peter really did follow. He really did learn to show that agape kind of love. 1 Peter 2:17, Peter is saying, honor all people, love, agape, the family of believers, fear God, honor the king. Agape love. Peter got it. The question for us today is, are you just fond of Jesus, or do you agape him enough to make it not about yourself, not about getting fed, but willing to love and honor everyone and feed Jesus' sheep? That's what Jesus said. Do you really, really agape? Do you really love me, the highest love? Well then, feed my sheep. That's what Jesus said. How can you put that into action today? Thank you so much for listening. If this is meaningful to you, it really does mean a lot. Those of you who like it, share it, and comment. I really appreciate you. I hope that you have an amazing day. And I hope this time together has helped you live life to the fullest, the Jesus way. And remember to follow Jesus today. Love first.